Joining us today on The Culture Catch, we're very honored to have Mr. David Lynch. David, welcome.
Thanks, Buster.
How did you make this movie happen? I know it was not as long as the Eraserhead project, but it was soup to nuts, start to finish, about a 3.5 year.
3 years.
3 years? Laura said 3.5.
Oh, wow. Maybe it was.
It took her that half year to ramp up.
Mm-hmm.
No, what she said initially, you just started testing her. Was that your way of kind of trying to rope her into the project? Or
No. First of all, the way anything happens is with ideas. So Laura said, I met her on the street one day, and she said, guess what? I'm your new neighbor. And she had moved into the neighborhood. And she said, we got to do something again sometime. And I said, yeah. I said, maybe I'll write something for you. And so for the next, I don't know, maybe month or something, I would write things. And I got a scene and gave it to her, and we shot it. And then I thought that was it, but I kept looking at this scene, and it held the promise of something more. And then when you kind of focus on a thing, they say where the attention is, that becomes lively. So when you focus or you put your attention on something, it kind of conjures up other things, and new ideas come in. And so the first things there, started other things coming in. And one thing leads to another, and you're kind of rolling.
And do you find that, does your TM help in focusing in on it to then expand it outward? Because I practice Taoist meditation, and I know oftentimes to empty the mind, things then start popping into the mind that typically you wouldn't even allow into your subconscious, conscious, or unconscious mind.
Well, TM is a mental technique that allows a human being to dive within and transcend. Transcend means to experience modern science's unified field, the Tao, the absolute, pure bliss consciousness, and that experience affects all avenues of life in a positive way. And this helps the artist so much. Happiness in the doing goes more and more and more. Energy goes more and more. Flow of ideas, intuition grows. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
I often felt like you were the metaphysical director in some ways, because you allow the audience, your audience, to each individual in the audience, walk away from your movies with their own perception of and their own subjective view on what that experience might have been, and to try to limit it by saying it's this, you've limited somebody else's.
Exactly right. Taking the joy away from them.
Because I may walk out of Inland Empire with a completely different take than Richard,
sure,
our producer, and he could say, well, I felt that this character's motivation was this, and
sure,
this was the theme. Do you feel that by trying not to define, it helps that individual reach that experience?
Absolutely. There's the film, and in my book, nothing should be added, nothing should be subtracted. That's it. And it's a certain way that feels correct for me, hoping it will feel correct to others. And when anything is abstract, you get varying interpretations, and it's the way it is. The more concrete it is, the less they vary. But cinema is this beautiful language that can show abstractions. So I love stories that have got a narrative, they've got a surface, but they've got this areas where are more abstract, and there, anyone's interpretation is valid. Like I say, the frames of the film are the same number, same sequence, everything the same, but every screening is subtly different because of the viewers.
Very good answer. When did, at what stage in your career as a filmmaker, because I know that you were into the arts before you got into film, what was it that drew you to film then as someone who was an abstract artist?
Well, I wasn't always abstract, but I was in a studio one day. I painted a place I lived, but I was, and for some reason, at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts, in a big room, in my little cubicle. I told this story a bunch of times, sorry, but...
That's all right.
And I was at about 3:30 in the afternoon. I was painting a picture of a garden at night, mostly black, some little bits of green kind of eking out from this black. Suddenly I hear a wind, and the thing starts moving. And I thought, well, I would like to do moving paintings. And that led to stop motion, the idea of stop motion.
Now, you touched on something that I think is very important that I pick up in your movies, and that's sound and the use of sound. And your sound designs are as integral to the experience as the visual, the audio component. Was that something that always was part of your world, the sound? Yes. And the sound designs? And
sound and picture moving together in time. It's a beautiful thing.
We call that what?
Cinema.
Cinema. Or the internet in these days.
It's all kinds of things. Motion pictures.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that sound and picture always is going together, but the possibilities are there for some real beautiful abstractions in that language.
Do you ever think of the sound before you think of the picture?
Sometimes you get a sound or a piece of music up front. Sometimes ideas come out of music. And when that happens up front, many times I'll play a piece of music while I'm shooting. Nobody else hears it. Maybe the operator of the camera hears it, and I hear it, and the dialogue, coming through with it, as an indication, an aid to make sure the pacing is right and the thing feels correct. The music sort of, when it's flowing with the music, it's right there. The music should marry to the visual and enhance it. And if it's not marrying, music can actually hurt a film. We all know that there's films where the music, it would be better to have no music than the wrong music. It's a feeling, and when it's wrong, you can feel it, and when it's right, you can feel it.
Right.
And it's like, no matter how much you love that song, it's not working there, and you've got to take it out and find the thing that works.
Right, but did that just come to you, that Nina Simone song?
Yes.
That's fantastic. There seems to be always this wind sound. I don't know if that's the right term.
I like a wind.
Yeah, is that the correct term?
There's sometimes wind, yeah.
No, that sound in Eraserhead, it's like a whoosh or a wind.
There's many sounds in Eraserhead. Yeah. I love, Eraserhead is, it takes place, in my mind, in an industrial neighborhood, and kind of born out of my experience in Philadelphia. And so that whole world conjures up many different sounds, and so each idea, you get the indications of sounds, real specific sounds, and then abstract sounds approaching music and musicals. And so it's again driven by the idea.
Are there any new musical collaborators that you're nurturing right now?
No. My friend Dave Jaricki died. I would have loved to, work with him again in the studio, and but I started singing myself now. So we'll see what happens.
Well, the beauty of the internet and having your own space is it allows, you're so free, you're not encumbered by marketing guys saying you can and can't do that. You're
right.
Your own gatekeeper.
Well, you're never encumbered by marketing guys, no matter what.
Good.
So we all have freedom, and we all have the ability to catch ideas and do things. And the internet now is a home for us.
When I was watching Inland Empire, one of the things I noticed was it would be the perfect cinematic moment for the iPod because there were so many close-ups. Everything was shot very tight, and if you're looking at an iPod screen that's 2.5 inches long, I thought, wow, this is the first movie that could really impact this medium. And everyone's talking about really wide when you're in tight. We shoot a lot of our interviews very tight that way as well because it's a different screen format. Was that just a random act? Am I imagining more?
No, but I would hope that they wouldn't see it on the iPod.
Well, of course not.
But I'm hoping for maybe they already have it, where you take your iPod and you put it into a little holder that squirts a beautiful big picture on.
Well, they have that, yeah.
And beautiful speakers to the left and the right of that, or even a bunch of speakers.
Surround.
So you crank that bad boy and turn the lights low and go into the world. And it's real unfortunate to see a thing very small and with bad sound and think that you've seen the picture.
Yeah, okay. That's a very good answer, and I didn't mean to denigrate the experience
cool.
at all.
It's unfortunately the world's going that way.
Well, we have kids who are just migrating into a world they don't know David Lean movies, Lawrence of Arabia, and these huge cinematic movies. But when you were shooting the movie, though, using PD-150s, I mean, you were completely taking it into this nanotechnology, this new film experience from the big, huge canisters and everything. What was that like? Was that liberating for you to an extent?
Liberation with a capital L.
What was the hardest thing to work in? Was it not having the light that maybe you wanted, or these cameras are
No. You can get it just the way you want it, and you just can get it that way easier, quicker.
Right.
And you see what you've got right there. And if you don't like it, you can fix it. In film, you don't see what you've got till you see the dailies. Now there's tricks and all this kind of stuff where you, based on more and more experience, you can tell what it's going to look like, but you actually don't see it really until you see it in the dailies.
Right. And
even then you don't really see it because it's a one light daily, so it might be off, it might be too bright, too dark, weird color. So here you see exactly what you're going to have. And you can tweak it and move that little bit and stop. That's it, and you're rolling. It's beautiful.
You shot over 200 hours, true?
I don't see these kind of things.
Or you shot a lot.
You always shoot a lot, and it's part of the process.
Well, maybe not in film. You wouldn't shoot as much as you can with video.
Yeah,
right?
But a lot of people shoot a lot. The reason I shot, there's always 3 cameras going. A lot of times, 2 of them, were, kind of bogus because I'm always in the way. But you can really stop worrying about the expense of film, and that's another really freeing aspect.
What are you working on next? What's in the pipeline?
I'm gonna try to do a good job distributing Inland Empire, helping to distribute it, and then I got to catch ideas.
Okay. Well, you'll be meditating on that, and I love that. And lastly, I guess we really should talk about Laura's turn. I know you're really pushing hard for her to get the Academy nomination, which I think she's very deserving of. It's a breathtaking performance. You pulled quite an interesting, I don't know, stunt or a way to generate some publicity for it. Could you mind sharing that with us?
All I did is go down to Hollywood and La Brea with 2 signs and a cow. And within an hour or so, there was people coming up, and we were shaking hands and talking, and the word went out. And it's for Laura because she gave a great performance, a really, really great performance. And in our world today, studios have a patina. Big budget, it has a patina. It's a fool's gold in my book, a fool's gold. But it's still working when you throw money at a thing and do it a certain way, a traditional way. I'm just hoping that through all this, the people see, you know, what Laura did and admit that it's the greatest.
Well, I hope they do, and I hope that we can help you in that cause. And
thanks a million.
And help you in marketing this really, really thought-provoking, amazing gateway.
Bless your heart,
Thanks.
Buster.
All right. Thanks, David.
Thanks, David.
This is Dusty for the Culture Catch, and we'll see you very soon.